Coming up on the Angus Report, demand for high-quality U.S. beef builds in overseas markets.
An executive order stalls the fate of the Waters of the United States rule.
Improving consumer transparency through on-farm verification.
Wildfire recovery begins for ranchers in the Plains states, and we visit a Pennsylvania farm recognized for their commitment to environmental stewardship.
This is the Angus Report. Hello and welcome to the Angus Report. I'm Bob Cervera.
And I'm Crystal Albers.
Our top news this week. The United States is in a favorable position to build on recently strong beef export sales, with overseas demand building in key markets, Japan and China. Kent Backus with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association says, despite the federal administration's move away from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the organization believes there are other avenues to establish secure relationships with market partners. If talks begin now, Backus says, history suggests the payoff will be at least 2 years farther down the road. However, setting the stage for increased demand for high-quality U.S. beef can help drive profitability back home on the ranch.
It's important to remember that 96% of the world's population lives outside of our borders, and the fastest growing economies are not necessarily here in the Western world, but are in the Far East, especially in Southeast Asia, countries like China. So we've seen a lot of opportunity to capitalize on that demand and send them the grain-finished beef, the high-quality beef that we produce here in the U.S. We're just trying to tear down more tariff and non-tariff barriers so we can meet that growing demand. And the best way to do that is through free trade agreements. It's most likely going to be through bilateral agreements, and we're hopeful, if that's the case, that Japan is at the top of that list, considering they're our largest export market. We're fortunate that through some negotiations, the Chinese Ministry of Agriculture lifted the ban on U.S. beef. But we're unable to send product to China until all the technical negotiations conclude. So we're in the process of negotiating that now, and we're hopeful that within the next year or so, we'll be able to send beef to all of China and not just Hong Kong.
According to the U.S. Meat Export Federation, Momentum had November 2016 beef exports accounting for almost $300 worth of carcass value, a near record high. Visit Angus.media for more details from the report.
Destructive wildfires left a painful mark on hundreds of thousands of acres as the wind-whipped flames raced across 4 states earlier this month. High-level winds and dry conditions fueled the fires that quickly spread across Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Colorado, scorching pastures and offering little time for ranchers to attempt to rescue their stock. 6 people lost their lives to the flames, and reports say many of those were rushing to protect their livestock. Texas reports the highest death toll at 4 people, and early estimates show Kansas with the highest acreage affected. More than 650,000 acres burned in the southwest and central regions of the state. Determining the total impact on the cattle herd will take months of reporting. However, Gardner Angus Ranch near Ashland, Kansas estimates they lost 500 head to the flames, as reported by the Wichita Eagle. In an interview with the publication, Garth Gardner called the fire the worst natural disaster to hit his family's 5th-generation ranch. Recovery efforts will be ongoing in the weeks and months that follow for the many producers affected, and immediate needs include hay and feed donations and monetary support as communities discover the true extent of the wildfire's destruction. Visit Angus.org for links on how to contribute to disaster relief funds in each of the affected states.
Begin with the end in mind. Understanding what motivates today's beef consumer can have significant impacts on your breeding program. That's according to Leanne Saunders, president of Where Food Comes From, Inc., a food verification company that bridges the gap between consumer expectations and on-farm production. She says there are real rewards for cattle enrolled in verification programs.
The great opportunity today we have in the beef industry is consumers want choices, and they want transparency, and they want information. So there isn't one size fits all. So that provides great opportunity for each producer to really look and say, okay, what do I want to do? You have to have quality genetics. You have to have proven genetics. You want to look at more standardization and more quality around those genetics over time. You need to look at vaccination protocols and predictability around vaccination programs and animal health. And then you start to look at things like source and age verification and using electronic identification that means something to the buyers upstream. One place we tell producers that you should really focus on is just start keeping records, maintaining documents, keeping records, because it's a baseline for all of these programs.
The American Angus Association's Angus Source Program is a USDA process-verified program for Angus sired calves that documents source, group, age, and a minimum 50% Angus genetics. Visit angus.org and click on Marketing to learn more.
In a move met with much praise by the agriculture community, President Donald Trump issued an executive order for further review of the controversial Waters of the United States, or WOTUS rule, championed by the Obama administration. Scott Pruitt, newly named administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, said the EPA plans to review, then either rescind or revise the WOTUS rule, which was finalized by the EPA and Army Corps of Engineers in 2015. Opponents believe the effort to clarify the waterways covered under the Clean Water Act was seen as a federal power grab, resulting in excessive regulation and penalties on U.S. cattle producers and feedlots. The rule prompted quick legal action, and at the time of the executive order was left at the hands of the Supreme Court to decide where the case would be heard. The official review of the WOTUS language could be a lengthy process, and we'll share more on this story as it develops.
When making plans for the upcoming breeding season, Iowa State University veterinarian Patrick Phillips advises conducting breeding soundness exams 30 to 60 days before bull turnout. Ensuring herd sires are in top condition will affect the reproductive success of the cow herd and the consistency of the calf crop moving into the next generation. Phillips shares why producers should take time to evaluate breeding soundness.
Today, we find that the BSE is a critical part of the breeding reproductive management program for most breeders. Typically be done 30 to 60 days before you expect to turn the bulls out with the cows or heifers. It's 50% of your genetics, and you have one bull or multiple bulls that are breeding many cows. You have to make sure that he's the top performance physically, from a semen characteristic standpoint. He has to be ready to breed, and that's where you get the most cows pregnant in the shortest amount of time, is based on the fact that you have a good bull that passes a BSE.
We go now to Jenna McCrell for a look at the Angus headlines you need to know this week.
Third-generation Angus breeder Lake Elliott of Adams, Tennessee, has been selected as the Angus representative to the 2017 Young Cattlemen's Conference, hosted by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Each year, the Angus Foundation selects one outstanding young leader to participate in what's considered the industry's most impactful leadership experience. Elliott is the herdsman for Robert Elliott & Sons Angus and has been greatly involved in the American Angus Association and National Junior Angus Association over the years. He will participate in the YCC Tour this June, along with more than 50 other up-and-coming beef leaders. To keep the certified Angus beef brand moving toward record-setting sales figures, it requires teamwork at all levels of beef production. And it helps to recognize the good people and ideas that make it happen. CAB does just that at its annual conference each fall, and nominations for these honors are open through March 31st. The categories include Commitment to Excellence Awards that recognize seed stock breeders, commercial producers, and feed yard operators, and the Progressive Partner Award that honors those who have found the most innovative and effective ways to add value to high-quality cattle. For more information, visit cabpartners.com. And that's what you need to know this week in the Angus business.
When we return, a California Angus breeder shares how he keeps consumers top of mind when making selection decisions.
Then how a commitment to sustainability plays out each day on the Huntington Farm in Pennsylvania.
Visit angus.media to continue watching this episode of the Angus Report.
This isn't a 9-to-5 job. So when you check the pants one last time, put away the tools, and make sure everything's ready to hand off to the night crew. It's not the clock that tells you the day is over. It's the confidence of knowing you got it right. It's having one less thing to worry about when the sun goes down. So when you see the signs of BRD, choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health. Talk to your veterinarian about Zuprevo for BRD treatment.
Looking for high-quality range-raised bulls and females this spring? McCabe Genetics invites you to their 24th annual bull and commercial female sale, selling 1,000 head of high-quality cattle, all of them exposed to fescue, 190 Angus bulls, yearlings, 18 months and 2-year-olds, 60 Hereford bulls, 18 months and 2-year-olds, and 750 count of commercial females consigned by these operations sell. March 23rd at McCabe Genetics near Elk City, Kansas. Starts promptly at noon. Visit McCabeGenetics.com or call 620-332-4244. We'll see you March 23rd.
Did you know that your checkoff works to grow demand for U.S. beef in more than 80 countries? Did you know export markets add more than $250 in value to each head? Did you know your checkoff works to develop, defend, and dispel in an effort to expand international markets? While you're focused on managing your beef business, your checkoff is developing new foreign markets and defending those where U.S. beef is currently sold. Get to know your checkoff at mybeefcheckoff.com.
Chalk Cattle Company is a family-owned and operated ranch in southwest Idaho. We run about 700 registered Angus cows. Integrity is very important to our family. It's our name that's behind these bulls. It's our brand that's on these bulls. And the I-50K test just helps us get there and add more integrity to those cattle. That's something we require when we're selecting for herd bulls. It's something we like to pass on to our customers and take the guesswork out of that bull just a little more.
Buy with confidence. Invest in I-50K tested bulls. Learn more at i50k.com.
Today's beef consumer has questions. BQA has the answers. Your Beef Quality Assurance certification allows you to share a story that assures customers that you are responsibly raising a safe, wholesome, and healthy beef supply. Becoming BQA certified just became even more convenient with a new interactive training experience that is online and available 24/7. So what are you waiting for? Get started today by visiting bqa.org.